This week we are sitting down with
You did.
Well, yeah, me. Sorry again.
Sorry, I was busy.
Sam was.
Sorry, Phoebe Ring. I didn't mean to leave you hanging. I was in Sydney.
I was going to say you were definitely away. Like you were
I think
not
I
in
was
Brisbane.
No, because you didn't even mention it to me.
Yeah, I dropped it on you. I was like, "Are you here?" You're like, "I'm not even in town," and that's unimportant. But we're sitting down with
AFK.
Phoebe Rings, which they are a New Zealand band. They were just here for Big Sound, and they kind of difficult to describe. I'd say like city pop meets like dream pop meets like kind of jazzy pop. One of the kind of core things that I wanted to touch on is like all the songs sonically are quite different and like don't tie together. And I wanted to find out like how that came about. And their answer was so interesting in the sense that they basically said we had no like central theme. So we chat about their record. They're about to do a massive like 2-month stint in the US, and how food is a very important part for the band.
Love it. Well, without further ado, Maxwell, I'll hand over to you.
Coming to us live from Aotearoa, New Zealand, we are joined by Crystal and Alex from Phoebe Rings. Welcome to the show, guys. How are you?
Kia ora.
Great.
Good. Yeah, doing well. Thanks for having us.
No, thanks for jumping in. We like to start the show the same way every week by finding out what you've been listening to, which is, so I suppose, like what's been spinning in your playlist recently, or if you've been listening to, any particular vinyl, what's been spinning?
I've been listening to one album for a very long time, and it is called Hometown to Come by Minhui Lee, who is a Korean artist. It's full of really delicately arranged, almost chambery kind of work, but folk music inspired, very gentle songs. And Minhui Lee, I think, opened for Japanese Breakfast for their European tour, and is a extremely talented, artist who arranged and orchestrated stuff all by herself.
A band that we saw in Brisbane first, which is a band called Bridge Dog, and they're based in Sydney. They've got an album called Auto Fictions that I've been listening to a lot, but they're also affiliated with a Brisbane local group called Omiya.
Okay.
And we met Ray from Omiya, very cool. And the other one that stands out was a band called Vegetable, who are a band from Singapore. Vegetable without an E in the middle, I think, as it says on their Spotify bio as well, or on their bios around, it says Vegetable without the E. I guess, what did they call themselves? Slowcore. The tags on Bandcamp are alternative, bedroom, indie rock, lo-fi, slowcore, Singapore. Super cool band. Bass player plays lots of chords, and we loved it. We saw them in Taipei.
Wow. I feel like of all the letters in vegetable that you could omit, E is the most dangerous one. There's a few E's getting around in vegetable.
The middle E.
The middle E. So VEGTABLE.
But it will be like vegetable.
Wait, I think actually the bio specifies. I beg your pardon. The bio, no E between the G and T.
Perfect.
Now that is a tagline.
That is, that's beautiful stuff. Well, let's get on to Phoebe Rings, because a few months ago you dropped your debut album, Asarai, which is kind of this beautiful collection of tracks that have, they're chock full of city pop sounds, of jazzy grooves, and there's also like the danciest moments I think we've heard from Phoebe Rings in the album as well. I suppose sonically, what was kind of your main direction that you wanted to go in with, across the album as a whole?
I don't know what I would say the main thing is, because I don't know, I find Asarai a bit eclectic. It Because we wrote the album as a group, and we all each wrote our songs, it was quite hard to draw like one focus of a genre. And I think it really does have even the song Asarai, which probably was the one of the first tracks. Um, the genre kind of changes throughout the song. There were more dreamy moments, and there are more city poppy moments, and there are more, I don't know, like slightly indie poppier moments. So I can't really like Yeah, pin.
I kind of think you did just pin it by talking about that song because that was like the first song of oh, it's actually not true, is it? Playground song came before Aserai. But the song Aserai, I like really vividly remember Crystal playing that solo to us. And it's like funny because it is almost like a Phoebe Rings overture because there's like a little bit of all these styles that we like tried to subconsciously combine into the album.
You guys mentioned obviously that you all contributed in different ways to the writing, the songwriting across the record. Did you feel like it was a simple enough project to balance everyone's input, or was it kind of just like, hey, you've been allocated this one song, do you want to go away and write this? Like, how did that kind of work out logistically?
Mm, I think it started more like a let's each write a song and try and finish it as complete as we can do. And that varied between the members, I think. For example, you know, my song was a little bit like simpler keyboard arrangement plus vocals, with a hint of like bass line or something for everyone to interpret themselves. Whereas maybe Simeon and Alex's songs were a little bit more fully fleshed arrangements. But yeah, we all tried to finish it as much as we could and then worked on it together. Do you have anything to add, Alex?
No, I mean, yeah, that's true. Um, there are some kind of like structural things because it's very consciously an album. Like I think we're all album fans. Um, it's not like we were trying to write singles or anything like that, but like I remember Simeon really wanted to write the last song on the album, so
Yeah.
wrote the song Goodnight. Um, I think like kind of towards the end of the process, Crystal had Blue Butterfly up her sleeve and um, didn't have anything without drums. And it was like a really short song, and I think we like lent into that, like having kind of like a shorter kind of to break up like the 3 minute 30 kind of songs. And there are also kind of like some song pairs as well. I remember like I had written Mandarin Tree, and then Ben was kind of like, oh, and I wrote this song Static, which was like I kind of like when we all kind of would like write and then bring it to these like sessions on Sunday together, and I think we were like inspired by each other's writing, and that kind of went along as it was. So yeah, there's a bunch of kind of. Was there any other pairs that I'm missing?
Yeah, actually that is true. We went through batches of songs.
Yeah.
And I think the second batch of songs were definitely inspired by first batch of songs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good
yeah.
way.
And we'd be
Yeah.
like, oh, I feel like we've had this kind of genre and style, and I feel like giving a slightly gentler one this time, or
Mm.
yeah, something like that. But yeah, we each wrote a song. I don't think there were any songs where we started from scratch like together. We all brought like essence, like at least essence of songs, and then
Mm.
developed it as a band.
Phoebe Rings as a project started off kind of as a solo project, I suppose, for you, Crystal, and now you've worked all the way through to this debut album, and as a four-piece band. What was it like for you, kind of going from this being, somewhere for you to put your solo material into more of a collaborative space
Oh,
with everyone else?
it's so much weight off my shoulders. I've always just wanted to be in a band, like be a member of a band rather than like having my own group and me being the leader or whatever. Um, I just wanted to play in a band that I really, really like. And I started off by having my songs because I guess like if you're making a band, you're responsible for at least having some material for gigs. But once we have done it after the EP release, which was the EP release, I thought, the members of the band are all so like admirable songwriters, and I knew that having a mix of songs would be really good, and it also meant that they would be more attached to the band because they have their own writing. It really did work out like that. It was my little scheme at first, but it really turned out very nicely.
I suppose, Alex, on the flip side, as someone who was joining the project, did it ever feel like, there was points where at the beginning you felt like you were creatively stepping on each other's toes, or was it a fairly fluid integration in that sense?
No, it hasn't happened yet. And like I think we're keen to push it to that. I'm keen to push it to that point. Not in a bad way, but I think the more you we just had like a really good language and way of communicating with each other. Like when it, like from working together on the live stuff even, but then even when it came to that, yeah, it's just we had a good understanding. I think like the fact that Crystal had already had this EP and we understood and we played the songs and stuff, it kind of like sets the template going forward. So it was like really, yeah, it was great.
So I like to hear. You don't want that question to come back as, nah, we all hated the process and there was
We
fisticuffs and yeah,
wanted to
nah, you don't
change
want
it
that.
as quick as possible. Yeah.
Yeah, but I actually do agree with Alex. Maybe because our first LP was the first time we are collaborating, everyone's maybe a little bit more cautious, and we are like our personalities as well, and we're quite like no one's too much of a gremlin. Um, and we're quite polite to each other. So, and we've tried to like imagine each other's writing, style as well, because we all have our solo projects as well. So maybe that helped us, yeah, that helped us be more agreeable, but maybe for the second LP, because we have become more comfortable, like being in a studio and being in a gig space, we can push ourselves and we'll end up in lots of dramas.
Yeah. To be continued.
It sounds like there's a VH1 behind the hits
Oh,
documentary ready to come out
absolutely. Yeah.
that's just going to really shed light on this drama.
Yeah, some kind of monster and dig. Just wait for it.
I'm excited. I'm excited. You guys mentioned you were just over here in Australia, and especially here in Brisbane, for a little Australasian tour and Big Sound. Alex, you mentioned off air that it wasn't your first Big Sound, but Crystal, was this your first time gracing the Big Sound excitement?
Yes, it was. And I wish I was maybe 5 years younger.
Don't we all, I suppose? We often find that, and especially the last couple of weeks while we've been talking to bands that are in town for Big Sound, that the bands and artists come here like kind of with a goal, I suppose, or an aim that they want to achieve as artists or as a collective. Did you feel like Phoebe Rings sort of had something in mind specifically, consciously to achieve, and do you feel like you kind of ticked that box while you were here?
We did. We've played we've played showcases before and we did we'd really love to play in Australia more. Like so I think a couple of things were like we were looking for an Australian agent. We were looking for agents in the UK and the US. At the same time, I think it's like, and I think this is what I learned from coming back from, I was there when I was really young, is that uh, you don't want to hang all your hopes on like this being the one opportunity that's going to make your career, because it's just never going to happen, and you're just only going to be disappointed. And people have to kind of see you a couple of times before they, want to work with you, or and it could be at different points, and it could just be not the right thing. So, yeah, like we definitely had these things, but it was like we didn't want to hang our hats on this and try to just like as much as possible. You're like you want to just try and treat it as a normal gig, um, because you want to give your like best representation of who you are.
I knew that it had a lot of guests from different countries and different media outlets and all that, but I don't know. It might sound too naive, but I'm always interested in just gaining more live fans. And I knew that Brisbane is just another really great city to play music in. So yeah, my aim was actually, I mean, I should say, we're interested to play with in front of all these people from like bookers and labels and all that. But I just wanted to play to more Brisbane fans, and it really did feel great when we were able to speak to some of them afterwards and, hearing that they've enjoyed it. There was a fan who came to all three of our performances, which was really cute. Yeah, so yeah, that was my little achievement ticked.
And like Australia connecting with like Australian bands as well and meeting those
Yes.
people and stuff is really cool because like yeah, we don't have enough of a relationship going back and forth across the ditch. That needs to be we need to do that more because we saw so many amazing bands that time.
We
Um,
did. And yeah, again, meeting Ray Sakakibara, who does Somersault magazine and his Omiya group, seems um like they do amazing things for the community. And just to check out the local scene was very valuable for us.
mm,
We're keen to keep exploring that.
I always find that given how close, obviously, like the cultural and historical ties between Australia and New Zealand are, there's not enough touring between the two countries. Often, I feel like they're two great markets that we should each be exploring. But every time we talk to a band from NZ, there's never enough. Like, hey, we need to get over there and tour more. It's always so. I agree with you guys that there's that connection
mm,
between the two scenes just should be stronger than it is, but it never
totally,
feels like
yeah.
it is.
No, no, and there's lots of similar like we have lots of similar bands. There's lots of similar kind of musical things happening, and there'd be a million Australian bands. So many bands we heard that would be like, this would just go off back home. People would love this.
Yeah, exactly. Look, one day.
Yeah, cultural exchange program needs to be
Yeah,
built up more. Yeah,
you can do a homestay with some Aussie
yeah,
bands.
yeah. Good idea.
Flat stay.
Yeah,
Now we're on. Yeah, you can crash
Airbnb,
on the couch with every other
Airbnb
band.
stay. Yeah, yeah.
Speaking of touring, you guys have had a massive year already. You've been obviously here in Australia. You've been to Taiwan, Japan, Korea, and you're about to start a very long, very non-stop tour of North America, which goes on for about 2 whole months. I suppose what's going to be the secret to sustaining the energy, the vocal cords across that entire run?
Oof.
Well, this is a
If,
topic that we have been talking about as a band.
if you know the secret, please tell us.
Yeah. Well, we're trying hard to have it, we have been on longer tours before, like in separate, like different occasions, different bands. But yeah, I don't think I've been on a tour where we're constantly like living in the same tour bus and especially like two bands together. So I guess a bigger crew. Um, I believe that have like knowing the Beths and we're all friends. I think we do like we are type of people who give each other like distance and some time to spend by ourselves. So I think that I'm less worried about. But in terms of health, Simeon has been talking about getting a one of those battery run like USB powered blender so that
Oh
we
yes.
yeah, and we've been talking about what to get in our rider so that, for example, we can try and think of the meal the next day
Mm.
and would go, oh, maybe we'll have like peanut butter and some bread and some vegetables and fruits to blend the next day, or we'll try and plan it all out so that we can save money but also stay healthy.
I think you might be the first band to request green kale juice backstage, but don't you got to break barriers at some point. I think you should do
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah.
Speaking about food on tour, we noticed that whenever you guys announce a spot, announce a tour of where you're going, your first, or not your first, but one of your first things is always shout out with local food recommendations. Is this, I mean, first of all, is it something that keeps the band together? Just a good meal?
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big time. Yeah.
Have you received some good tips for North American cities yet?
No, we haven't. No, bring them on. Last time I was in Chicago, I was presented with the option of trying a Chicago style hot dog or a deep dish pizza. And I chose the Chicago style hot dog only to find out that it is a regular hot dog. I mean, look, all respect to the Chicagoans listening, but it is a regular hot dog sans ketchup, and they are militant about their about keeping the ketchup off your hot dog. So it was great. I mean, you have relish and stuff, but after that, I kind of went through an obsessive stage of like finding out what deep dish pizza is, and I made my own deep dish pizza. So I am keen to go back and hit a real deep dish in Chicago.
Are you serious? Are you
Yeah.
serious that you chose the hot dog over the deep dish?
Look. I was
Do
I was
that.
I was young. I was an impressionable.
We all make
That's
mistakes.
great.
It's okay.
That's right.
Look, fair enough. The only place that I can have any recommendations for is San Francisco. I spent a bit of time there a few years ago. There's a Chinese restaurant in Chinatown called China Live. It's very good. And there's a pizza restaurant called Tony's Pizza Napolitana in North Beach. So check those out if you want, or don't.
Great.
That's fine.
Thanks. No, amazing. Thanks, man.
Sick. Yeah,
Love
we
it.
love food recommendations. Thank
Yeah.
you for
Look, before we wrap up, I suppose we're kind of getting towards the end of 2025. What does looking into next year in 2026 look like for Phoebe Rings?
Wow. It is. I can't believe that it is near the end of the day.
Mm,
It really
It's a bit crazy.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we want to make more songs. Like we're actually the Aserai album has actually been sitting in our Google Drive for a very long time because yeah, we wrote the songs initially like from 2022-ish. So we want to be writing more songs. We had actually started doing that and we've got some demos recorded as well, but would like to refine it more. I'd love to work on album two.
Mm, hmm
Yeah.
More shows. Yeah. We want to come back to Australia as
We
soon as we
definitely
can.
will come back.
Well, you're always welcome over here, 100%.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
I
Cultural
spent- I'm-
exchange program. That's what we need.
Exactly.
It's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
we'll set it up.
Oh, we want to go to Netherworld again. We had a
Yeah.
really
Oh yeah, and Brisbane. Yeah.
yeah.
Good
The
bar,
big
great
campaign
bar.
bill.
At the
Yeah.
arcade, we just went ham.
More early shows, and then where you get to hang out and play arcade games afterwards and have a beer.
The combo of arcade games and like Nintendo 64 and SNES, like Mario Kart, really good combo.
So great.
Yep, 100%. Well, listen to Phoebe Rings' debut album, Aserai, wherever you get your music. If you're in North America, catch them live across pretty much every city with dates between October 30th and December 14th. Head to phoeberings.com for more info and tickets on the shows closest to you. Guys, thanks so much for taking the time and having a chat to us today.
Thank you so
Thanks for
much.
having us. Thanks. Pleasure.